Greetings everyone, this is Curtis Duncan, and I'd like to thank everyone for looking at my videos and all your support. And today we'll be talking about why Halloween creates drug fiends. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The DEA should be called because millions of drugs will be distributed unlawfully on October 31st and will be harming the welfare of our children. That's right, y'all. On a serious note, Halloween does create drug fiends. And what's the drug that's going to be distributed this Halloween? You guessed it, sugar. Boy, that delightful white processed sugar, which destroys your health, depresses your immune system, gives you cavities, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. Wow, sounds like something that the DEA really be interested in getting involved in to protect the welfare of the American people. Oh, don't worry, y'all. The DEA probably won't be called. It should be, but they're out looking for some marijuana now, because this is about the hypocrisy of democracy. But seriously, y'all, sugar is a drug. There's no doubt about it. There has been studies that have shown that it is addictive and it does affect your brain. And when we talk about health here in America, everyone's concerned about the swine flu and they're thinking about getting a vaccine and whatnot. But sugar, actually, for all of you parents out there who want to boost your child's immune system, sugar actually depresses your immune system. So when you're going to be feeding your children sugar, then you're going to be depressing their immune system. So they are more likely to get the swine flu or any other type of infectious diseases when you feed them all these candies and stuff that will be given to them on Halloween. Halloween is really just, it's a holiday that has various, goes back various pagan traditions, but it has now been commercialized and is used to really turn our children into fiends. And that's exactly what it does. The average American consumes 150 pounds of sugar per year. 150 pounds. And that's just way too much. And when we look at all the health problems we have here in this country, we have to look at sugar. And we have to look at the simple fact that this drug that's known as white sugar, and it's not just white sugar, it's brown sugar, it's any type of processed sugar. I always tell people that really no isolated sweetener is safe. Now, if you consume moderate amounts of it, it probably won't be harmful. But due to holidays such as Halloween, they're looking to get our children addicted quick and keep them on this addiction. So hey, they get sick and have to get vaccines and all this other stuff. This Halloween holiday is very profitable for Big Pharma and for the junk food industry. And like I said, it keeps the sugar addiction going into this country because many people actually do have a sugar craving. It's probably the biggest addiction out there besides the cigarettes and alcohol. So just know that this Halloween, the whole premise of the holiday is to turn your kids into sugar fiends, plain and simple. Most of the Halloween candies are pure junk. They're laced with artificial flavors, artificial colors, and both of these have been shown to induce hyperactivity in children. And just about, most of the candies out there aren't even chocolate. Chocolate, that used to be, that's gone the way of the dodo bird. Now you got Mike and Ike's and Swedish Fish and all those other type of colored candies, to make your kids all excited. And yeah, it does excite them because it destroys their brain many times. The artificial colors do. And those artificial colors have been linked to cancer. So just know that Halloween is probably the most destructive holiday for our collective health here as a country. And millions of people will be distributing drugs on October 31st. Should those people go to jail? Are they endangering the welfare of our children? I don't know. Those are just some questions you might want to think about. But just know that, seriously, that, if you do decide to participate in the fiasco known as Halloween, then, you will be greatly endangering your child's health. And these days, the sugar industry has gotten a little more creative, and they have chosen to adopt high fructose corn syrup as their sweetener of choice. And if you look at most of the Halloween candies out there, particularly the non-chocolate ones, that is likely what they will contain because sugar is more expensive. But the only problem with this is that high fructose corn syrup contains mercury. There was a study shown that many of the samples of high fructose corn syrup actually have been found to contain mercury contamination. So besides all diseases that you will be giving, you could give to children by participating in Halloween and giving them all that junk food candy, you'll be destroying their brain too. Is this something that you really want to do under the illusion of Halloween? Have we been so dumbed down, and are we so programmed that whenever a holiday comes along, we just feel this compulsion to react and buy candy and give kids candy? I feel as though it's really time for us to reconsider what we're doing on these so-called holidays, because they have been completely commercialized, and it's all about just making money. It doesn't mean anything. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, when these three holidays are the main reason why people gain weight during the winter, because you're not supposed to gain weight during the winter. You're actually supposed to lose, but most people, due to all the processed junk that they eat on these three holidays, so-called holidays, including New Year's Eve, they gain tons of weight. But reconsider what you're going to do this Halloween. I'm actually going to be putting out a special report on what you can feed your kids this Halloween. But one of the best things you can do is just feed them fruit. Who told you that you have to give your kids sugar for Halloween? Who told you that that's a celebration to consume sugar? Now, I'm not saying, maybe, slip in a few chocolate candies into here, but, who told us that we have to feed them chocolate? Who told us that we had to feed them, candy apples and all this other junk that's available? See, we've been programmed to do all these things, because there's really no reason why we do them. If I were to go around and survey people, why do you feed your kids sugar on Halloween? Most of them wouldn't know. It's just tradition. Well, who created these traditions, and who does it ultimately benefit? It doesn't benefit you or I, because hey, you're going to have to pay the doctor's bills. You're going to have to pay for the insurance when your child gets sick from eating all of these processed foods. And the main problem is that besides the Halloween, we're consuming all of these foods consistently. The foods that the high fructose corn syrup, for example, is being consumed consistently. And as I mentioned, it contains mercury. It has been shown to contain mercury. So when we consume all of these foods consistently, then it leads to health problems. And if we're really going to address all of the health problems here in America, we have to look at our consumption of processed sugars and flours. Simple fact of the matter. And there's always, you can always find out evidence of something by just looking at how we choose to celebrate. And for most people, when they choose to celebrate, they always going after some sugar, be it alcohol, cakes, cookies, pies, what have you. It's all sugar. Always fits into the mix somehow. But that's all. As I said, I'll be putting out a special report. You can send me an email. I'll post that to my right. You can check me out. Send me an email if you have any more comments or questions. And please share this video with family and friends. I really don't want to see our children become fiends this Halloween. So please forward this information to get the word out, and just let people know that they don't have to buy into all this propaganda and programming surrounding Halloween. As I mentioned, the best thing you can feed your child is just some organic fruit, organic apple, banana, some raisins, what have you. But as I mentioned, I'll do a special report on it, because I do know people, like their chocolate and whatever. They want to be a little creative, and that's cool. But we really have to leave this old paradigm of all these sugary sweets and stuff that's just really destroying our children's health. So thank you everyone for checking out this video. Have a wonderful day. This is Curtis Duncan, and I'm signing out. Peace.